Hello, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. We are Test and Training International. My name is Alexander-WURZ. I have with me my father, Franz WURZ. I have Niall, our project leader, as well as Arian, as a head of design. Very interesting what we hear from all the consultants so far, but my first thanks is really to all of you, to the esteemed jury, to the project that you're aiming to do, which hopefully, depending on whoever chooses, will leave a lasting impact, will be economical and sustainable, and will create two things. It will create a home for motorsport, a growing industry, so we have to grow the industry together here in Albania, as well as for road safety, as we have listened to Jean Todt, and he rightly so says that road safety is extremely important. Just short introduction. On the left side is my father, Franz WURZ. He won 3 times the Rallycross World European Championship in the Lancia Stratos. I think we have the former head of the program, Daniele Ardetto, here. He was head of Ferrari, head of Lancia, and very successful. The reason why we're saying that is because we have perhaps an advantage to our competitors, that we are actually race drivers ourselves. We are driving ourselves, we are racing ourselves, and the same goes for me. I've won 2 times 24-hour race of Le Mans. In my previous career, I've been BMX world champion, which is cycling, been 13 years in Formula 1, and together we have our business, it's a family business, since over 30 years. Just a few keywords about us, because everything is about a human relationship as well. If you would kindly and happily choose us as to be your partner for this journey, I think you need to understand where we're coming from. So, real experience. Real experience comes from racing over 30 years. I have been with the top teams around the world, raced up to Formula 1, DTM, Rallycross. My father has done a lot of racing, very successful as well. We also have operational success, because another, and maybe for you the most important differentiator between us and our competitors, is we are operators. We actually started designing tracks and facilities because we operate them. We have invented driver training. We have seen driver training modules today. My dad has invented that. And he saw the need as an operator, how do I design a facility that it's working, that is actually saving lives on the road, that's actually making happy racers, and you, as the owner of the client, that you're not left with a lot of capital expenditure, but perhaps fantasy in 60 years to pay it back. So this is our operational success. At the moment, 48 facilities are under operation with the test and training system. Our industry and network and the insight into the industry comes because we are intrinsically involved in motorsport. For example, I'm the GPDA chairman, so this is the head of all the Formula 1 drivers. I'm the longest lasting. We're in the industry working groups, so we have a very good and intensive network, which is your tools. So this is what you can benefit if you would like to work together. 30 years of success. Here you see a test and training equipment which we use for tanker training. I will tell you a little bit more about this when we come to the road safety, but we are operating and working over 30 years. We have the unique skill set which comes from all the attributes I've just mentioned, from being drivers, being designers, being operators, also promoters. Franz had the honor to be the promoter of the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Austria for the Austrian government before it was a Red Bull ring. We are also innovators. For road safety training, we innovated the kick plate. We've innovated ideas for Formula 1, for motor racing, so it's part of what we do. Sometimes the mute pictures and the renders we use from existing projects which are ongoing. This is a project, for example, with a e-gaming arena on the inside. To the outside is a karting circuit, outdoor and indoor karting, drift track on the other side. We work with governments. France was the lead of implementing the novice driver training license. That means in Austria, but now it's in Luxembourg, in many other countries as well. Young drivers are entering into a lifelong learning process. We have invented with test and training children education program. In Austria, every school kid undergoes a training, which my dad invented. Here it would be the idea, we are bringing the children, we are bringing the school classes, we are giving them a space for education in a playful way, because if you are a kid, you don't want to be seriously told, you want to learn and experience. We have the multi-phase driving license, has reduced accidents by over 35%, which is something every country needs. But we will talk a little bit more, but we are used to work with governments, with the legislation periods, and of course we have to create jobs, bring local expertise, and create a lasting effect. Award-winning, we are happily won some awards throughout our career, and we are, of course, project-orientated and client-orientated, because every client is different. You have a very specific market in Albania. You are a new emerging economy. You're new emerging in motorsport. But we are not far from Europe, so perhaps with a correct offer we can participate from the European racing industry, whilst at the same time we are planting the seed to grow the local motorsport economy. Little bit about our design approach and design philosophy is it has to be multifunctional. On 52 hectares, foreseeing some of the elements are absolutely key importance. And I compare our company and our design skills a little bit to a Swiss Army knife. You know, it's always with you, it always works. It's proven, it's perfect. And this is the way we see this facility working, especially because it needs to be sustainable. You know, it's not okay, in my opinion, to invest endless millions for the biggest facility if there's no way that the operational figures will ever return it. Part of that will be with road safety training. We foresee that around 36% of your turnover will come from road safety training, other than, of course, the benefits you will have for the local community. 36% of turnover cannot be ignored. And of course, it has to be a sport and an entertainment city. Motorsport, of course, we are addressed at first. It's where the passion is. It's how we are delivering the message to the young people, how you deliver as Albania the message to the world, to Europe, and to your inhabitants. We're starting, of course, on the national level. All the circuits should be also there for the international level. A lot of turnover and income will be generated from testing. Drifting is one of the local sports which will be maybe the most booming in the early stages. Race of Champions equally for the growing up economy, and indeed exhibition and events. With exhibition and events, we forecast around 30% of your turnover of the facility. Road safety, extremely close to our hearts because we are a road safety company. It's about the driver education. You have to understand that in order to change behavior on the road, we are usually looking at the 3E, which is engineering, where the road transport organization is going to look into the engineering in the technical checks. We're looking at education, this is our part, and of course with the 3Es of road safety, you have also the law enforcement, which has to go hand in hand with the police. Driver training for all vehicle categories, tailored training programs, because it's all good to have the infrastructure if you don't have the programs or you don't have the understanding of how to train and operate. Driver assessment, children safety education programs, road safety events, and all safety equivalent technology for testing and development and presentations. A large part, as I mentioned, around 30% of turnover is events. So we have to create a destination which is suitable for a really wide range of events, which is for international clients to foster the tourism, but also for local community, where we integrate the community into the motor park. All right, let's have a first look. On the side, we have heard about wind, sun. These are all the completely normal aspects when you're designing a facility to have to consider. But we've done a site visit, we've been here in December, spent time to read the property. I think it's fundamental that you are on site, you see the few connections, you feel it, and perhaps like an artist, he's looking at the art, we're looking at racetrack design together with nature. It has to talk to us, and then we start designing. Equally, we are designing to an environmental, but also operational idea. And this is more important, because we can stand here and tell you, to the longest track, to the most crazy architecture, in the end of the day, what drives it should be a sustainable business model. That's our first view of the circuit using the site. I will go into it. We will split it. It is designed for a very clever flow of people. It's designed to be multifunctional. And of course, it's designed to make business. We have multiple track configurations. They're going through all the sites with different lengths, different characters. Again, trimmed. We are driver. I want to have the most exciting track. There's no question about it. We heard about simulations. I think with McLaren, I was the first driver to ever use a simulator. We've been a sub-consultant for the first track which was developed with a simulator, which was Austin. So it was me driving in the simulator. Now it's Lirim, you are doing simulation services. That was part of my first job at McLaren. I was the first ever. And we're using it, of course, for the circuits. Going through different configurations, different lengths, different speeds, because for different categories, you would also need different speed and speed profiles to be exciting. We are splitting, like every designer, we're splitting the different usage. We have parallel loops just from the operational point of view. We have the rallycross circuit. Again, my father was a multiple rallycross champion. I myself tried to do rallycross, not so successful, but it was on the world championship level. We have the acceleration straight. We are going to something which is, I would think, world unique. It's our butterfly system for a growing economy, for local motorsport. This is the absolute wonderful equipment to have. It should be water irrigated. That means you can test your drivers, develop your drivers for wet conditions. But mainly, if you're using it for drifting training, there's no noise pollution, because the yielding of the tires is terrible. It's sometimes worse than the engine noise. And on top of it, you don't use your tires, because it's water irrigated, it's more slippery. That's really important for operation, because if your client uses one set of tires a day, and he has maybe not that big pockets, he's only coming once a year. But if the surface is with a correct friction level, which we achieve with the water, no noise, but a happier client as well. So this is where we have the difference. We are operators. We know about the importance. Of course, it is a CIK World Championship level track with over 1.2 kilometers in length. I have on the left, this is my son leading the Rotax World Final. This is my son Oscar, my third son. He's not leading, but when he saw me doing the presentation, he said, cut the leader out, because you cannot have Charlie leading the race and I'm second. So we had to fake the leader a little bit, but this is Oscar in the Bambini karts. Of course, rental karting will be tourist attraction, local attraction, but with a 24-hour, with rental karts, you can also do fantastic 24-hour racing events. The butterfly is also perfect for drifting. For high-end drifting, when we really want to make a show, it's done in arena style, so we can gather a lot of fans all around it, and it's the high-powered cars, and they will be very popular very quickly. We are using drifting also for young driver development, Young Driver Academy. We have hosted the FIA Young Driver Excellence Academy, a program we invented. The FIA has financed it, created a lot of winners. That's the second picture, where drifting, car control is extremely important for training and teaching young talents. Equally, we are using it for parallel racing. If you have smaller events, and we are growing the industry here, You have maybe 10, 15, 20 people with a parallel racing, two against each other. A lot of pressure, fantastic for TV, but you don't need a field of 100 to 200 people, but you could. So it's again a grassroots motorsport tool which will be very popular. Around the facility, we also have an off-road park with over 60% of SUVs being sold. We are handling also for Land Rover Europe-wide all the driver training and experience. We know what the manufacturers want, what they want to see in order to have their their experience days. In terms of driver training, that's not only for road safety, it's also for young race driver development. We're using training modules. This is what my dad invented. It is a proven tool to reduce accidents. We have training module 1 with a kick plate, training module 2, which is about cornering. It's all water irrigated. The water will be recycled, it will be filtered, because we are well aware of the costs and the pressure, our precious planet and the water. Motorbike training, we have the multifunctional model, of course, with our butterfly. Traffic examination is something also, I think we are a global leader. It goes right in hand with a facility for the road transport directorate, all the room program. This is, of course, all according to the standards you need and require. It is strategically located to the left of the facility, so to the west. I will talk a little bit more about that in a minute. We've done the speed calculations, and I think I don't need to talk about it. Strategically located, I would like to start that our main entrance is here to the left. Those is where the people are coming for every day, for your technology checks, for being a visitor in the retro museum, enjoying your food and beverage, and those are the everyday visitors. The further you are coming into the facility is you are a designated visitor. If you're coming to race your kart or you're drifting, you don't mind to arrive and take 45 seconds, whilst if you're a daily visitor, you want to go straight there where you have information, where you have entertainment, and where you actually find your food and beverage. Strategically also, we're making use of the shape, we're making use of the river, and there's some items which we call our hangout, picnic, and viewing areas. I have to say this very similar to the philosophy our colleagues from Apex have shown. Now a glimpse to what we envision from the architectural language and style. We are not just track designers, we also have our in-house architectural company. We are definitely pairing up with a very strong, very good local partners because they have the local knowledge, but we are designing to what we think is the language of mobility. It's the language of the automotive industry. That would be to the left, you have the retro museum, where we have the showrooms, where we have the repair shops. Straight through the glass door is our welcome center. I show you a perfect view of how we are creating synergies of architecture as well as the racing track. To the right, we have food and beverage, we have the offices, we have administration, we have seminar rooms, and if you're now stepping into the building, you're looking straight out onto the start-finish straight. You get this little arena, the atrium garage, to the right, the food and beverage, to the left, presentation stairs were perfect for car presentations. You're taking your seat, if you're lucky, in a newly renovated F40 or in any new supercar or in any other car, and you're going straight out to start-finish. So now, if you imagine yourself a bicycle race, a marathon run, you know, that can be the finish, it can be the start. It's how we like also to engage with the community and not just the motorsport world. We have now shifted from the entry from the museum. This is where we are coming to the motorsport core, the heart of the facility for the sports people. To the left is karting, to the right is the main bit building. It has a joint function, it has a joint race control, joint driver meeting room. So we are overlaying functions in order to save money, in order to ensure we don't have very high capital expenditure. We are combining. At the same time, you can see this as a little bit of an arena. So if you have a small concert, a small show, we're using the Bedok asphalt area, and we can host any sort of event. DJ event, rock concerts, whatever. You know, we have the infrastructure ready, and we can use and utilize the shape of the building. If this is a view from the building, down to the CRK karting track, down to the butterfly, the drifting. It is surrounded by the natural arena. The amount of people we are hosting, that's something we would discuss with you in the next phase. We would go through a feasibility study and then design the exact sizes. But it is your 360 arena. Equally, I want to say it's very important. I've been many times on karting and drift circuits. Is you come with friends, you come with parents. It's strategically located to the F&P. So your food and beverage is just there because you're going to sit for coffee, you're watching your kid, the kid is coming back from the little practice session. So all members of the family will be together. You will see them, they will see you, you can film them, but you're spending more time because for the environment, for the sustainability factors, we need, of course, the people also to consume. And so therefore, it's very important that we have a strategic alignment of all the elements. Equally, it needs to be an arena. We say it's a motorsport arena, so we have designed it that from every end, it's a 360-degree view into the facilities, into the racing circuit. That's important, of course, for the experience of people, but if you're the producer, the promoter of the race, if I have a complicated layout, I need way more cameras. Here, a national event can host a racing event captured on TV with only 2 cameras. Again, it's very important for the operator because if you have 5, 6, 7 cameras needed, the operating costs are higher and then your clients will not be as happy. The first thing we said when we came here, we saw the river dam, we said, we need to engage with the community, we need to engage with nature, and we then activating the river walk. We would welcome the community to use it for a new modern lifestyle, to see into the facility with natural grandstands. Of course, for large events, you can extend with temporary grandstands and just create these hangout spaces, which are strategically located around the circuit to give a perfect viewing, to give perfect lifestyle. And maybe just someone wants to go there to enjoy nature. He's running past and he sees to the left a modern, new way of mobility and the beautiful nature of this Compiègne River to the side. Energy consumption, Jano has summed it up. He calculates with 250 kilowatt per hour. This is more or less what we have done as well. We are coming to similar sizes of photovoltaic. Again, from the sustainability, environment, energy, independence, I think you could perhaps be a contributor to the energy need and not just a consumer himself. Here, this is the medical center. We're giving the medical center also a shape, but of course on top you see the photovoltaic units we have just talked about. And also I salute Jano's comment that the medical center perhaps should be open to the public to have, again, a support for Elbasan local community. If you have a cut or anything, you can go there. And this is not only if we win, that would be a tip for every consultant you might choose to just open the medical center to the local community. 100%, we know all the requirements from the road transport service hub we are creating in terms of offices, in terms of the services we have to create. We didn't purposely position it on the other side of the road. The property on the other side of the main road is an extension of parking capacity, whilst your facility should be very close to the museum, to the food and beverage, because if your customers go to have a technical check, he can go for a coffee. So therefore, there's a little bit more footfall in the building. He will be curious what offers the facility has, and we think it's strategically located a bit closer together. Case studies. We are talking about business. We're talking about creating infrastructure. Jean-Todt has reminded us how important road safety is. Whilst you're doing very good with the ever-increasing car sales and new registrations, I've seen the numbers. The statistics say, like in every city or every country, we still have to do better on road safety. That's our tanker. We've done a training for British Petroleum, PP. After 1.5 years, we reduced the rollover accidents by 80%. They are a regular client to us. It's sensational that the big oil companies are coming every year, and with a fraction of the cost, we are reducing them. Because if a tanker is rolling over, it's catastrophic. It's really bad for the image, for the country, for the environment. And when you have supplied 5 fuel stations and you only have half fuel, very little speed in a corner, your tanker is rolling over. So we are training all of them. Just an example. Austrian supermarket chain, Billa, our biggest supermarket chain, had a lot of accidents, and on our driver training modules, with our curriculum, with our training programs, we have trained them with about 28,000 euros of yearly costs they're spending with us for the training. They are saving almost 800,000 euros. So a regular client. They are coming. Other transport companies are coming because our training modules are designed that we can cope with the trucks, with the buses, with the cars, with the motorbikes, with everyone who is seeking road safety training. Austria, it is every police driver in Austria, it is every fire brigade, every ambulance driver, but also every bus driver, delivering your children to school, delivering your tourists. We are working, for example, in Egypt. Every bus driver is certified by my father in Egypt. Same in Azerbaijan and other nations where our training programs actually saving and increasing road safety. But in this case, we did a study with the Austrian Post bus company, and 1,600 drivers were trained for eco-driving, so saving fuel. And after the training program, we found out that the fuel we saved them could have gone 18 times from Earth to the moon and back. We saved 1.9 million liters of fuel. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have to be
fast.
No, we have to be correct with the others. We have to be at 20 minutes. We are at 25 and a bit more.
I have one more slide.
Because the rest of the minutes are ours. We have to, if there are questions. So, but
thank you.
Not for you, but for the others. So for the other competitors.
Yes.
It's very good up to now. I mean, it's what we hear. It's really answering every question, in our minds. But we have to stop with the presentation,
yes.
or at least if you have.
It's only a statistic proving the program is right, but it's not only the statistic. It's a European community. The FIA has elected us as the winner of the young driver training programs around the world, and basically that was it. And I'm sorry I overspent time. I'm getting old and not fast anymore. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, thank you again for another good presentation. I have a question a little bit about scale. What do you think is the right scale for the Albanian and Balkan market? If I see the buildings, they are rather big. What do you think is the appropriate scale to match the requirements for the races, but for the time there are no races?
In fact, this is the key question. It's the key question for the jury now to decide, are we going for the biggest project? Are we going for something which we think, the way we design, is actually making sense in terms of a business, but having a real local impact with the international circuit? We developed, and again I come back to what we think we are definitely market leader is, we are operators ourselves. We have opened new markets. Yeah, France invented driver training 30 years ago. It didn't exist. Motorsport in some nations, when he did the Sachsen Ring, which was former East Germany, there was no motorsport market. It is now maybe one of the most profitable facilities because of the operating model being into the design. And that is really fundamental in a nation like here. If you're making a new racetrack in England, where you have so many racing enthusiasts, so many race cars, it's a very different story of how to design than when you're trying to be part of an emerging motorsport nation. So in this sense, we promote also a phased approach, but we have foreseen the growth to a final real big international racing circuit for international racing events. And that striking balance is really important for you to decide upon. We cannot decide. We, for example, I'm very honest, have decided the Trackster strip. We couldn't find anyone who has a top fuel Trackster in the radius over 500 to 600 kilometers. There's no promoter of the top fuel Tracksters. So I said, also when you are a promoter of a Trackster event, we know it, you are on the risk of losing money. So we took your brief on board and said, we would discuss with you, do you really want it? Because we say no financial benefit to you, only a risk of loss, and it takes away property size. We have an acceleration strip because we know people like to accelerate with each other, as well as for the for presentations and exciting moments. So we took liberty to just adjust the brief a little bit for what we make sense of the best business model going forward.
I just want to know a bit more about the riverside and the lungofiume, we call it here, because we want to engage people, pedestrians, bikers, bicycles, visitors, and recreational weekends and involvement, of the community. It's about 2 kilometers in length, and it's going to be one of the most important components of the whole project. So, if you have any slide or...
So we produced the render to just visualize an everyday situation where people are walking, they are enjoying sport, they are enjoying activities. To the left, you're looking at the circuit, it's something which is happening. And to the right, you have the nature. So if you're a nature lover, yes, to the right, sorry, the pictures get. But here on the right is straight the river. We left the construction as it is. We're just adding to the left for the natural grandstands. It is over 2 kilometers long. It stretches along the whole circuit. And the circuit was designed that from any point you can see in, and you can use it as a natural grandstand. So you come to over 25 to almost 35,000 people you can host. But again, at this moment, you will talk about traffic management of how in and outflow is. That's something we have done in Austria, for example. Austria Formula One event. My dad was the promoter. There's only one road in, like here. So yes, that has to be managed, but we want to engage with the community on so many levels, and this is one of the absolute prime examples, as well as the direct access from the river promenade to the museum, to the food and beverage, because it should be the destination for cyclists. I'm a road cyclist. I love cycling, and I love my coffee stop. So I will stop there for coffee, have a look, and I move on. So Elbasan as such should have this event, this community, this lifestyle center, and this is how we want to engage also with the river and the river promenade.
May I ask you to elaborate a bit on the operation component, because among all, you were the only one that mentioned the operation as part of your portfolio experience, and have indicated that it's not just about building it and going, but also potentially offering your know-how for the operation. So can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, thank you. Prime Minister, the way we have set up our business and expertise is that we help people starting up the operation, but we are actually sending our trainers to train your trainers. We have a whole program of finding local talent, promoting local talent, because the knowledge we have internationally needs to be captured here. You need to benefit. We shouldn't be a bunch of expats coming here operating after 5 years, we move to the next project. We are having a systematic approach coming in, giving our operating know-how from racing to road safety, events, crisis management, everything. We will advise you of how to insure the circuit, what's the best insurance for participants, because we have this international know-how from over 48 facilities where we're operating. And then we are training your trainers. We do quality audits over the next few years. But in a matter of a few years, it should be your local people who are operating it. Lirim, I wish you have a long career, but we have a lot of motorsport people, up to top guys, coming and then are later instructors, where the racing experts, the stars, are actually then coming to host the trainings, the academies. But we need to educate them how to train trainers. We have psychologists who are structuring the training program that actually you're learning with a long-lasting effect. Operational know-how is absolutely something we would recommend to treat very highly. It's like a restaurant. You can make them the nicest restaurant. If the service doesn't know how to cook and serve, you will make no money and you will have no happy clients. So it's not just about the hardware, it's about the knowledge of operation as well.
I saw that in the track, you have the maximum of 3.9. Can you manage 300 meters more to get it to the...
We have one version with 3.7.
3.9.
3.9, yes. Yeah.
3.9.
So it is absolutely then the case to sit down.
Okay, just if
Yeah.
it's possible or not.
It's no problem to go longer.
Okay.
We have then to see where are we striking the compromises of what functions for your market, for your desire, we can adjust. We have seen some circuits today which have no driver training. We believe we generate a lot of revenue and have a social environmental impact in Albania with having those facilities in the size we created. And again, this is what we believe is your starting point. And then we need to sit down and adjust it.
Okay.
It's very easy to make a longer circuit.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
One last question. If you can go back on the site plan, you explained about your, let's say, approach to having the most public facilities at the entrance of the site, which is very good. But what strikes me is the amount of the parking area. Do you think there is some flexibility in this design to rethink the parking?
Yes, absolutely. We have designed the parking spaces for what we believe with our operating model you will reach in about 7 to 10 years' time. Because we know you have a ramping up, but if you have, and I apologize, it's in the brief, I don't have the numbers all in my head, but here we have the technical control units, we have the museum, which is exhibition center, seminar rooms. So this parking spaces is the room for optimizing, yes, but I would also like to mention with the footfall we have here from facilities we're having, it's the parking space. So it's best practice that we are saying, because the worst case is that you could have a higher capacity of people flow, but you can't have the parking. Is there room to optimize together? Yes, that would be the next phase, because at the moment we are at the concept phase. In the next phase, we need to sit down together to find the business goals, and then we define the structures. Here, this is the paddock. There's an international demand on sizes. So if you want to be fit for certain events, you need some paddock size. If you're too small from the outset, you will have quite an issue later on, I have to be honest, with some concept I have seen. And we shouldn't forget, on very large event days, where we're having more than 1,000 clients, which I'm really sure you can have very quickly, car presentations, etc., you will use some of it. Does it look big? Yes. Do we have to work with the landscape to make them appropriate? 100%. Do we want to seal all the surfaces by nature? No. So I would think it's a very, very good question, and it's always a question of striking the balance, of not sealing too much of our nature. Thank you.
We thank you very much.
I forgot. I extend my time, I'm sorry. So maybe you're the lucky first winner of a race, and we just thought, if we are the lucky chosen ones, that would be the trophy for the first winner on the project.